Hello and welcome back to another Nyxus guide on Nyxus Gaming. We are here in Ty the Tasmanian Tiger 2, and today we're going to be going after the picture frames. There are 175 of them in the game, and really they don't unlock much that you need in the game. They just unlock concept art, and they're a cool thing to get. I did a guide for him in Ty 1, so I figured gotta follow up, do a guide for him in Ty 2, and yeah, that's about it. Basically, how this is gonna go, I'm gonna give a little blurb on what you need for each area and how many there are before I do that area, and then I'll probably just cut between me getting them. I also want to point out I already have 10 of them on this current file. And I've gotten those accidentally while doing other guides, but there may be some discrepancies. You might see me getting them in another file. I don't know how seamless that'll be, or if it will just blend in perfectly or not. But yeah, so here we are in the Bush Rescue HQ area, the first area you go to in the game, and there are 43 of them here. You're going to want the Smasherang, the Warparang, and the Lasherang in order to get all of those. I repeat, the Lasherang here, the Warparang, its upgraded version, and the Smasherang. So without ado, let's get going. Poking right back in here real quick with a little bit, while it's not required, the Infrarang or its upgraded version, the X-Rang, will definitely help you get these platforms. You can just barely see them glistening in the air like that, and you can see you can jump on them. But of course, if you have either of those rangs, you can see them right there, and of course you can just throw a rang at them, and that'll materialize them better for you. So at this point, your total count and your Buramudgee town count should be at 43. Again, my total count is at 49 because I've accidentally gotten some in other areas, but your Buramudgee count should be at 43. You may notice that there are 67 frames here. The rest are all going to be in the sewers here by Ranger Ken. Now, there are no rangs required to get these, but it will help if you have the Infrarang or, more importantly, the X-Rang. All of these frames are going to be invisible boxes. And you can just barely see this one. They can be hard to make out in the darkness and with them being invisible. Of course, with the Infrarang, you can look through and you can see them. Or more importantly, with the X-Rang, they are just automatically visible. And there are 24 of these things in the sewers, so you may want to keep count of which ones you have. So let's get going. And by the time you've circled all the way back around to the entrance, you should have a good 67 out of 67. I don't think I'm going to cut that down at all. That way you guys can see my entire route. And if you're missing one, you can just kind of trace my steps through there. But that's everything in Buramudgee Town. Let's move on to, I think, the Outback Oasis. Here in Outback Oasis, you're going to find 13 frames. The first ones being right here after the first buzzsaw blade. The only required rang you'll need is the warparang, and it's to get through here and get those. The rest of the frames are going to be in the cave section towards the end. And you may want an upgraded rang just to kill the uber frills there. Again, it's not required, but it'll make things a lot easier. Also, again, not required, but the infra rank or X rank will definitely help you see the boxes that you gotta destroy for these picture frames. Here at Frill Neck Forest, you're going to have 15 more frames to get, the first 5 of which are up this vine here, but I'll get to that in a second. There are no invisible platforms or anything to worry about here. All you will need is the lasherang to get some of these. Here at Mount Boone, Mount Boom? Yes. There is only one picture frame to get, and it's here at the end. You won't need any ranks to get it unless you want to get back safely. Otherwise, the only thing you'll need is the Thermo Bunyip. But if you've already completed the mission here in Mount Boom, you'll have this handy dandy entrance slash exit that you can access from across the road from Frill Neck Forest. So if you're coming here a second time, you don't need the Thermo Bunyip. But as you can see, the frame's right there. It's a little tricky to get if you aren't paying attention to this flower here. It'll just shoot you up to this bag, get you some free opals, and down to the frame. And where the lash ring comes in, again, it's only if you want to get back safely. You can just lash across there, over to the red flower, back up to here, and glide back down. I think this is the easiest time I've ever had in Mount Boom. Here we are at the Wetlands, which has 13 crates, 13 picture frames for us to get. Now, the only rang that's required here is gonna be the Warparang, but as always, you'll want the X rang or the Infra rang to make things a little easier. You can already see an invisible box with frames in the distance. There are 4 more in this side area here, so let's get them. Just a little bit further in, after that unfortunate death, you'll see these invisible crates here. I can't speak. You'll see these explosive crates here with the invisible one right above it right there. Now, this is one of those frames that I've actually already gotten, and it's because as soon as you hit one of those, it will blow up the crate above it and just automatically get you the frame. I just wanted to point that out. I'm not getting a frame right now because I already have it. Here in Faire Dinkum, the only rang you're going to need is the Smash rang, but as always, the X rang or Infra rang will help. And there are 14 to grab here, a lot of which you can see are right here at the beginning. The final picture frame is another one that I've gotten accidentally previously, but it is behind this animatronic alligator right here. There's no invisible crate or anything, it is literally just sitting out in the open. Here in Sulphur Rocks, there are 22 picture frames for you to get. The only required rank is the Lash rank, but as always, you're probably going to want the X rank or the Infra rank, as looking around, you can already see a lot of invisible boxes. Now, the first 13 picture frames are all going to be in this area, so memorize it well. In this area here across the bridge, you're gonna find two picture frames. I, however, will only find one, as I've already gotten the one that appears right down there to the right in the little canyon as you enter. You can follow this canyon all the way around to the next one, or just jump down here and make a sharp U-turn, and you can see the final picture frame right there. That should be all of them in Sulphur Rocks. The final level, the Never Never. As always, there are tons of collectibles here of every kind, and there are 30 picture frames for us to get. You're going to need the Lasherang and the Smasherang, and of course, just to make it easier, you're going to want the X-Rang. Starting off right away, there are 3 boxes here, invisible. One of them contains 5 frames for us. This next one is yet another one that I've already gotten. You'll get to this point with this stone platform that you jump across to get to these steel crates. It is actually sitting right here on the stone platform for you guys. Again, already got this one, but you'll find these platforms here in the little lake area. You'll just jump back and forth up to the top, and it should be sitting here right at the top. You can also go ahead and just Lasherang your way over for this one as well. And this is the final one that I've already gotten here. You need the Lasherang, and I think this actually leads over to a chromium orb on the edge here, which is why I've already gotten it. But you will also end up getting a picture frame trying to get it. But the picture frame is just along those lashes right there. And with that frame, if you check your totals, you should have 175 of 175. Now, as I said previously at the beginning of the episode, these don't unlock anything for you in the game itself, but they do unlock concept art for you to view on the title screen. And with that, I think we're going to go ahead and end off the episode there. I like to use these Ty guides just to break up the constant Witcher or Fallout New Vegas guides. But with that, next week we will be returning to The Witcher 1, going over the choices and consequences of the prologue and Chapter 1. So thank you all for watching, and I'll see you then. Bye-bye.